Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Road Coach Podcast, the show where we share what we've learned from years of living on the road through research and experimentation, so that if you are like us and you spend a significant time away from home, you can not only survive but thrive, even when you are out of your element. And today is a very special episode because not only is it the first interview episode that we've ever done here on the Road Coach Podcast, but it is also with someone who has taken travel to the next level. So here with me today is Laura Helen, and she has taken her family on the road permanently over the past number of years. So Laura, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So let's start at the beginning. For those who don't know your story, this started, you said, about 7 years ago. What caused you to make the decision to move away from home and live life on the road with your family?
So to make a very big story very little, while I was pregnant with my first child, we came across a little girl who was not in a good place, and we decided we were going to be the answer. We were going to solve this problem. So we brought her home and we battled a very messy legal adoption battle. 2.5 years later, we won. Yay! But
Congratulations.
financially, it put us upside down. We pretty much mortgaged to save a child.
Okay.
And we'd borrowed from family and friends. So we couldn't do just a bankruptcy and like the easy out. We had to find another way. We
Mhm.
couldn't find one, so we created one. So instead of having the house and the cars and the jobs and all that stuff, we discovered Airbnb. Oh, amazing. It's only one price. You've got one price and food instead of all the bills, gas, electric, rates, council tax, all that good stuff. It was
Mhm.
just one price. So we started off in Airbnbs to be able to cut down our expenses because we found, like most people, we had way more month left at the end of every paycheck, and we needed to make this go the other way around. So
Mhm.
we started in Airbnbs and started traveling the world like that, and then we discovered the world of house sitting. Oh my goodness! Now we literally travel the world for free. If you'd have told me this 7, 8, 9 years ago, I don't know if I laughed or cried, but I wouldn't have believed it. So now we travel the world for free. We paid off all that debt that we owed, over 50,000 plus interest, in 3 years whilst traveling the world of our children.
That is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So you're currently in Spain, you said, right?
Yes.
And whereabouts in Spain? Like geographically,
We're
near
like just an
Barcelona?
hour north of Granada.
Okay, very nice. And you started in the UK, correct? The
Yes.
group? And so how in the last 7 years or so, how many different places have you been? And what's sort of like the shortest stay in any one location and the longest stay, just so that people have a bit of a reference?
So it really does vary from what we're
Okay.
doing and who we're going to visit and what our purpose is. It can be anywhere from 2, 3 days
Okay.
to we did do an 18-month house sit in Spain. So that was like our biggest long term. We all got very itchy feet at that one. But it was during the pandemic, it was during lockdown. We were
Okay.
very fortunate. We had 10 acres of land. The kids had quad bikes. They didn't even know there was a pandemic because we were just so free at that moment. So we've had all different gifts and graces. Sometimes it's a few months, sometimes a few weeks. It really depends where we're going, why we're there. The first 2 years of travel, we literally just chased sunshine. My little boy was 4 and it was coming up to autumn. And he sat at the window and went, "Oh, I can't wait for summer again." And I thought, my 4-year-old is wishing his life away. And we went and had 2 full years of summer.
Oh my goodness. That is so incredible to be able to do for your family. But also, I would imagine extremely stressful at times, especially in the beginning. So, could you maybe take me through what that process was like? So you started obviously, um, well, maybe take me back. What caused the decision to say we are going to absolve ourselves of all bills and live on the road? What was the thought process there? You and your husband, I guess, probably discussed this, and what was going through your minds, and what made you go, this is something we want to take a shot at?
I love that you appreciate that because most people go, "Oh, you're so lucky," and they don't think about part of
Yes.
it. So yeah, we were in huge debts. The legal bills were way bigger than all our bills put together. So I wasn't exaggerating our finances. It was dire. My
Hmm.
husband worked for a franchise company. So when we did our first Airbnb move, we went to London. So his salary increased while our bills decreased. So that was our first kind of clever move. And me and the kids, while he worked, me and the kids went to lots and lots of events to get myself out there as the book people. Ha ha, yeah, we do books.
Mhm.
and met lots of people very quickly and got very well known in London very, very quickly because we were just everywhere. My
Okay.
kids also write and publish books. So we got a name for ourselves really quickly. And then the big step to jumping on an aeroplane was hubby was working all these hours for someone else.
Mhm.
And I'm like, all those hours could be building our dream instead of theirs. Now, I'm very much burn the boats, jump all in, let's go for it.
Mhm.
He is not.
Okay.
So he called in sick for 3 months,
Oh, wow.
um, 7, 8 years ago. His toolbox is still in that garage because he
Wow.
never went back and he never quite ended the job. His boss, he was a great employee. He works really hard. So his boss is like, if you ever want to come back, we always have space for you. And
Okay.
he liked having that if it goes really wrong.
The
I mean,
safety.
8 years later, we've traveled the world and it's amazing.
Yeah.
But we were on very different journeys. We both knew it was right for the kids,
Okay.
but making that leap, I don't know if I'm braver or crazier. I was much more, let's do it. And he kept his toe in. Do you know what I mean? Like he was
I
like
do.
one step at a time.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the
We got
safety net.
out, we were putting all those hours into our business. So then obviously our business grew enough to sustain us.
Very nice. And so where was I guess that period of calling in sick for 3 months, where was that first move to?
It was Spain, so it could be a short plane trip for the kids' first ever aeroplane.
Okay.
We have that on our YouTube. It's the cutest video that you've ever seen. Little
We'll
4-year-old
check it
so
out for sure.
excited to be on an aeroplane.
Uh-huh.
Even that, so I thought we were doing incredible things as a family. Whenever Daddy came home from work, I always made sure the kids had a full hour of Daddy play before we did the dinner together and bedtime routine. And I
Mhm.
thought that gave them a really good bond. Within that first month of us all flying to Spain and him having no job, I can't even explain how much it grew. Like,
Really?
I thought they were like, yeah, they're really tight because most people don't even make that time and we're making the effort. But to see them in and out with him every single day, it was complete transformation of their relationship.
Wow. That's
And that
incredible.
has been my greatest gift in the travel.
Yeah, absolutely. I could imagine for sure. And so when you said that you knew it was the right move for the kids, what brought that on? Why did you know that this was the right move for the kids?
So it's a few different things. I have to be the best at everything I do. And when we said we're going to have kids, I went and trained as a nursery nurse. I worked in schools and I worked as a nanny just to kind of get to know kids and what I was about to let myself in for.
Wow.
I really thought that would help.
Yeah.
Little did I know. But I went and learned in all these places and I really didn't like what I saw.
Okay.
Nurseries were hiding babies in a different room while the parents dropped off. So it looks like the numbers were right, but they weren't.
Mm.
It was all about the numbers and about the money. In schools, it's all about the check sheets. It's not about the child. It broke my heart.
Mhm.
The nursery I worked in was next to a hospital. Now, while I love and appreciate doctors and all they do,
Mhm.
we had their children Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. till 6 p.m.
Wow.
I wanted to parent on purpose and
Yeah.
I wanted them to be unapologetically themselves. In
Right.
school, watching kids trying to fit in, do they
Mhm.
please the teacher, the parents, or their friends? Like they're so jumbled trying to please all these people, they get so lost in who they are. So my goal became to make them unapologetically themselves.
Wow. That is a very profound decision to make, but also a very courageous thing to try to provide for your children. Because I think a lot of people now in the West use and by West, I mean the modern, Western capitalist society in general, um, use those systems. They take them for granted as if they're doing a good job. And they also use them as a crutch because uh, a lot of parents feel they need to pursue their own goals, but also provide financially, and they forget that part. So I just want to take a second to commend you for that. That's an incredible thing that not a lot of people would have the courage to do. So very, very impressive. So when you made this move, and this is going, it's funny because this is going a little bit off topic to what I would normally talk about, but I think it's a really, really good story that you're telling. The the transition from being in a significant amount of debt to getting to the point where you can sustain yourself and then also pay off your debt. And you did this in a matter of 3 years. How did that transition come about? How quickly did you go from, you know, what I would assume is constant daily worry to being in from, going from the red to the black to all of a sudden significantly in the black and not having to worry about money? What was that time period like for you as a family, as a married couple? How long did it take? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
It was definitely a journey, and it's one I had to really balance, because inside you're screaming and you're worrying and everything could go wrong any second, everywhere, with everything. Especially, we did 3 months in Costa Rica. If I'd have Googled it before we got on the plane, I never would have gone there. But it was our most magical adventure. The children,
Oh.
I wanted their lives to be abundant, for them just not to know how tough it really was.
Mm,
So when they're up, everything was magic, everything's crazy. When they go to bed, which that's when we get our laptops out and do our work, it
okay.
is hard hustle. It's when we go all in. It's where we will work through the night if we have to. It was where we worked really, really hard, and we put on a brave face. There was times that me and hubby were fasting for 7 days because we were going to be so fit and strong. That's the story we sold. It was we
Right.
eat or they eat, and our kids will always come first. There were times where it was beyond tight. We had some crazy, crazy adventures. But our worst night ever, we had so many things go wrong, and we call it the week. So I broke my bank card. Hubby then lost his wallet
Oh no.
with his bank cards, and then mine got stolen at the airport. So everything we had to access cash had gone in a matter of a few days while we were traveling.
Oh my.
And then where we landed, the place we were going to cancelled. So we very quickly booked Airbnb on the minimal finances that we had, because we were literally living. It's not even week to week, it's like day to day.
Wow.
So we booked an Airbnb that night. We're like, yes, we got it. We got a train to wherever this place was. We walked, two tired kids, 10 o'clock at night, to this Airbnb. We're knocking on the door, we're ringing, we're trying to get through. We finally get through, and they say, oh no, we just put it on to see if anyone wants it. It's not available till next year.
Oh my goodness.
And this, you'll get your money back in a week.
And you're thinking we don't have money for
Which to a
food in the
normal
morning.
person is
Yeah.
like, okay, 7 to 10 days, yeah, that's fine. We're like, we just spent all our money because the last one cancelled, and then this one isn't working.
Oh my goodness.
So I broke that night. I
Yeah.
absolutely broke into a million pieces. We found a snug little place in a car park by the railway station. Had the kids piled up on stuff, wrapped up in stuff, cuddled up with me and daddy. They all, he probably didn't speak that well, but they just thought it was some crazy adventure. They were too young to really know any better. They had this cool camping night, and I sat there with my phone and one of those plug-in chargers for the whole night. And by the time they woke up, I'd made 6 grand.
Oh my goodness.
Not only that, I had discovered by Googling stupid stuff like, how do I live in the world for free? The world of house sitting. So that this would never, ever happen again.
That's amazing.
So through our biggest pains always come our greatest gifts. And that was one of my most painful. I broke into a million pieces. I failed as a mum. I failed as a wife. I failed at life. Oh my God, someone's going to take my kids if they know we're on the streets. All those crazy fears
Yeah.
rose up in me. And the kids went to sleep, me absolutely broken and a mess. My hubby took photos like, this will be a movie one day. And I'm like, how can you take a picture?
Yeah.
Next day, he's like, I'm taking a picture because I woke up like, there's 6 grand in the bank. We can live in the
Right.
world for free. You have no idea of the adventures that are coming your way. And we totally overspent that month and spoiled them. They'd have no idea why. But for me, it was that mum guilt of, oh my God, they've had a night on the street they're not even aware of.
Of course. Of course. That's what an incredible story. And I think there's something to be said not only for, from our pain come our biggest growth opportunities, but um, also your ability to commit to something and, as you said, burn the boats. I think was probably a big reason why you did succeed, because if there was a backup plan, it might not have gone the same way, and you might not have had the urgency to sit on the internet for 6 hours overnight and figure out this problem because it was the only option for you, right?
I live very much like that. So when we were in London doing our things, we met Tony Robbins, and he invited us backstage. We got to meet and do this awesome connection with him. And he invited us to Date with Destiny, his big signature event in
Yeah,
Florida.
yeah.
And we're, oh my gosh, he's gifting us. It's like 10 grand a ticket, and he's gifting us this amazing gift. And we couldn't afford the flights.
Oh no.
So I had the places booked until before house sitting, until the day before we should fly if we're going to go to the event. And we didn't have the money for the tickets. We just didn't have it. And it got to the day, like the last day, and even those that actually believed and supported us were like, Laura, what is plan B? And I'm like, no, like a 3-year-old, there's no plan B. Something
Right.
is going to work. And I was on like client calls all night trying to sign up new clients, all this stuff. And I go back to the room just before midnight and I just look at hubby like, tell me you got an answer. And then my phone goes off and someone goes, I'm in.
No way.
And we had the exact amount we needed to book the flight. 12 hours later, we were on the plane. And the kids thought they were in first class. It was a very American airline. My kids are very polite with a British accent. They thought it was first class because they got waited on and overfed and just, they loved it.
That's
And while it
great.
was fun adventure, I'm going to a country I've never been to. I know no one. We have nowhere to stay. We have nothing when we land.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. And then when we landed, when we got through the airport and our devices started working, 2 clients had signed up to a smaller collaborative project, and that got us our Airbnb
Oh,
for
wow.
the 10 days of the event. And it just, the more blind, we call it faith, trust, and pixie dust, the more faith and trust where we lean all in, the way unfolds, magic happens.
Absolutely. That's a great message. So if I can switch gears a little bit, your kids at the time, you said 4 and 7, is that right? When you
Yeah.
started this journey, what was your immediate, I mean, 7 years ago, there were some resources, not nearly what there are today. What did you do for education? Is it all
We
just
still don't use the resources.
you don't?
We
Okay.
unschool. We completely wild school, unschool, world school. There's so many cool phrases now. Back when we were
Hmm.
doing it, it was called crazy. But now there's all these nice terms that you can use. We've always done it where the kids ask a question and we really answer it.
Okay.
Whether it's the bees, whether it's the planets, whether it's where we are in a history from that place, we go all in. And hubby would agree, we have learned so much.
Yeah.
From schooling our children, and our kids know real life skills. My son learned really big numbers really fast because of that trip to Costa Rica, because
Okay.
$10 is like, I don't know, 300,000 over there.
Right.
Like the currency is so extreme.
Yep.
And he was selling his books and they were like $10. And he's like, I sell 3 books, Mum, I'm a millionaire here. Like it was exciting. So they learned the numbers really quickly, but they learn it in real life skills through currencies, and they can stand in a shop no matter what currency and go, okay, so ours is that, so that's actually £3, not 43,000.
Right.
So they've learned real life skills really quickly, really naturally. Their curiosity and imagination hasn't gone away because we haven't crushed it, force feeding them anything.
Right. Yeah, that
Like
makes sense.
my daughter wrote books started at age 7. She's now got 5 in 3 languages. She shared the stage with all these amazing speakers, Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, the guys
Oh,
from The
wow.
Secret. She's helping kids overcome bullying and suicide, doing incredible things. She inspired her little brother, who started writing at 4, and now he's got 45 published books at age 12 and
Oh
winning
my
awards.
goodness. Oh
They're
my
doing it.
goodness. What an incredible story. And so when you're going down this road, and I know that you guys have a couple of books as well, you and your husband, did you sort of teach them the world of how to get something published? Did you do it on your own? Did you have to figure this all out together? Who published first? What all happened with that?
So my daughter's book was the first one to get published.
Okay.
She was kept asking what we read. We read a lot of self-development business books, and
Yeah,
my kids love reading stories, but it's normally like, kids' fairy tales.
of course.
And she's, what do you read? So we gave her Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lecter and a dictionary. And 10 days later, she came back and went, I'm bored of using a dictionary. And we were like, okay, we'll try again in a few years. Because when we read that book, we were like, if we knew this when we were young, we would
Of
be
course.
rich.
Yeah.
So we are going to teach this to our children. And she's like, no, 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 wait. And she brings down a children's version where she simplified it all, version of that book. And we were like, self-development for kids. Oh my gosh. And when we looked into publishers, they wanted to charge us like 50 grand, give her 15%, take her off the
Right.
cover, correct all the grammar. We did the spelling, but the grammar made it the voice of a 7-year-old. They wanted to take all the magic out and charge us crazy numbers for it. And we were like, this the same with our life. There's got to be a better way. We
Hmm.
couldn't find one, so we made one.
Very nice. So you made your own publishing company from scratch, essentially.
absolutely from scratch.
Yeah. Wow. Good for
We're
you.
very Richard Branson. We jump and then build on the way down.
Yeah, yeah. Which seems to be working for you. So that's incredible.
We
So
never stop
you're,
learning.
sorry, say that again.
We never stop learning. We're always learning and growing through different people, mentors, different classes.
Absolutely. So now that you know your kids are a little bit older, so they're you said so there's what are they 14 and 12?
12 and 15.
12 and 15. Um, I guess is it much the same as status quo, or as they're getting older, are they looking to get into any sort of formalized education? Or are they like what are what's their opinion of the way you've raised them essentially, which is completely different than 99% of the world?
So, but last school year, no, this your school year before, my daughter actually asked if she could try a year at school.
Okay.
So she went to boarding school for a full school year. And now she is very grateful for the way we school, for the way we teach, for the way they
Really?
learn. She's got a whole different perspective. It's made her so much more grateful for our lifestyle, because she said in a school of a few thousand, she's never felt so alone. And if
Mm,
she failed at something, she got bullied for 3 weeks. Whereas if someone fails, we celebrate. We're like, whoa, what did we learn? We're one
right.
step closer to how you're going to make it work. We learn more
Absolutely.
from failure than we do success. And that's how we learn and grow. In
Yeah.
schools, if you fail, you're a dummy, go stand in the corner kind of thing. So to see the differences,
Hmm.
that really made a difference in her mind of how we do things.
Absolutely. I often um I tell myself and my family this as we grow in our sort of different activities and try to branch out and do things a little bit differently than the rest of the world does, is that every time we hit a roadblock or a point of failure in anything we're doing, it's a point at which most of the rest of the world would quit. And so every time you get those, it's time to celebrate the fact that you're willing to keep going, because there's always a way. But every time you hit one is a chance where someone else is going to give up, and it's going to give you a more open door to go through. And it's very much the same concept that you have there. So it's that's really nice to hear. When you, I guess, for people that are, um, for people that might be considering this type of lifestyle, because I travel, probably 100 to 150 days every single year. I'm away from home, but I still have a home base, right? And I still have that set level of expenses. And we've we've had this conversation as a couple and as a family before about the consistencies of being in one place with the same friends and the same environment and the same school, and that feeling of having home. And that's always been a hesitation of ours to pick up everything and go. What will that do psychologically to our child that may be negative if they don't have that consistent group of people around them other than mom and dad? So to people that would bring that up, because I think that a lot of people listening to this would have that thought, what do you say to people like that? Where is the disconnect that comes up for people?
So as a grown up, where's home to you?
With the people I love, I guess.
With the people you love, not a place.
Right. Yeah.
It's not a place. It's the people. And we've been that consistent group with our children. Like, we're a really strong couple, we're a really strong family, we're really tight knit, we really get on. They have those friends, they have those cousins that we see at least once a year, whether they fly out or we fly out, and they
Okay.
have those connections. We now have this cool thing.
Yeah.
You can connect with anyone in the world anywhere. It's not like it was when we were kids, where if you moved, you lost them all forever.
It's true.
And it also dampens out things. What I love about going to a foreign country where the kids don't know the language well enough is they can go join in, they can go join in a football game, they can go play and make friends, but they're caught up in none of the drama,
Mm,
because they don't know enough to know that someone's being a bit snidey and someone over there is being a bit mean. They
okay.
get all they get all the fun and upside without any of the drama of what's going on, because
Right.
so did so and so, or all that kind of drama. There's no bullying. They miss all that kind of drama. And if a friendship's real, it doesn't matter where in the world you are,
You're going to stay in touch. Yeah.
you're going to stay in touch.
Right.
And it's a great excuse, because if you've got friends that live somewhere else, when you come together on purpose, and they are the most meaningful times together.
Mm, yeah. And you're looking forward to them more because
Yeah,
you know that they're they're scheduled and seldom, or more seldom than they could be.
And the real friendships. They're not forced friendships because they're the same ability in different classes and they just
Right.
happen to be on the same street. They've made a genuine connection. They really like each other. They really get along. They have certain things in common. My kids cannot see someone for a year. You put them together and you wouldn't know they didn't see each other 10 minutes before.
Wow. That's really powerful. That's really powerful.
It's
I
really
think
cool.
a lot of people that are tied to a specific location underestimate the um, the value to those important relationships and whether they'd continue them if they didn't stay in that same place. And I think that prevents people from making changes a lot.
It's very fear-based.
Yes.
That thinking. It's very, you know, if you value security, it's
Yep.
very safe. You know it. My kids are so level-headed. They're so grounded because they have met so many different people from
Hmm.
different backgrounds, different cultures, different religions, different viewpoints on the world, that they are very open to conversations with anyone of any age.
That's amazing. So what would you say, I guess, traveling as a family of four, every family gets to that situation, where they get on each other's nerves and they need to separate and they need to go their own way and they need to go, maybe leave the house and hang out with someone else and cool off. What's been the biggest challenge of you guys being a unit of four all the time, and that being your safe place, but also probably the cause of some infighting at times. What's been the biggest challenge for you, sort of being that group, no matter where you are, everywhere you go for the last 7 years? What's the biggest challenge you faced?
It's kind of tough to answer because I grew up with brothers and sisters and we fought like cat and dog. Like
Mhm.
we really did, like us siblings, rah. We just don't have that.
No?
Maybe it's because we've done things differently and we're out having today we climbed these rocks, went through a cave, found a waterfall. Maybe it's because we're having these crazy adventures.
Right.
We have to parent. We are parents and they will always be safe and loved.
Hmm.
We're all best mates. We're all just out and it's all new for all of us and we're experiencing these amazing things. We're not sat bored. The kids don't have TV or devices. Some people say I'm very mean mum, but they live in the real world because it's real and adventures and people. And I
Right.
don't want to lose the skill that seems to be getting lost of that interaction, noticing that smallest cue in someone, knowing how they're feeling and how to help that and how to sort that out.
Right.
So to miss all that. So they're not sat on TV getting bored and frustrated. They're not sat at a desk being bored and frustrated at school. They've got no reason to be angry and upset.
That's
They're
amazing.
not they're not wanting to, oh, I don't want to get up for school in the morning. My kids are up before the sun. It makes me
Right.
crazy sometimes because my clients are global. So if I've had a really late night, it's really hard. But they're excited to get up and go.
Right.
So I think just where we've created such a different lifestyle, it's created a different family dynamic.
Good for you. Good for you. So if you've got people listening to this that want to create more of a family-centric lifestyle, whether or not they want to completely, live on the road the way you have, but for parents who want to be a little bit more present for their children and provide those adventures, even if it is, in the town where they live, what advice would you give them in terms of how to recreate your time management and your income to be able to focus on your children? What's some advice that you
We
could give?
don't try and do everything at once.
Okay.
If we're with the kids, we are with the kids. I do take this for photos because I want them to have the memories.
Right.
But it's on silent, and if someone's messaging me, I'll get back to them when I'm doing that. I'm
Okay.
very with my children at the time, and get in touch with your inner child. Our first book we ever created was for exactly this. The bigger stages we got on, the more like famous and successful people we met, we realized family was a huge issue.
Hmm.
They'd finally go home. I've done it. I've made it. Now's the time. And the partner's left, and the kids have had enough because they've missed too much. Because
Right.
they've shared with their children why they do what they do. It's such simple communication, but it gets missed. If
Hmm.
I go and I crew for Tony and I go to different events, or if I'm going to speak somewhere, when I leave, my boy will go, for the island, mum. And I'm like, for the island, baby, because it's for our bigger goal, for our
Right.
bigger dream. It's not because that's more important than them. It's for us as a collective. And when you
Right.
play with your kids, be a kid.
Hmm.
They learn, they don't do as we're told, they do what we are and who we are. My
Absolutely.
kids have been able to come or as authentically them and apologetically them because I've had to step into that to allow them to.
Amazing. So I guess for those who travel a lot, maybe not so much family based, but those who travel a lot, whether that be for work or pleasure, you are the epitome of a travel expert at this point, you and your family. So, what advice would you give listeners that travel a lot in terms of how to travel well and to how to stay balanced in life when away from home? What are some key pieces of advice that you've learned over the last number of years being on the road?
So for me, one of my favorite things is the house sitting.
Hmm.
Where we are right now, when we came and met the people, they went and took us down to this amazing river. They get their fresh water from a spring that comes out, like they
Oh.
don't have to use the tap, like it's pure fresh mountain water.
Hmm.
All these things we wouldn't know if we went to a resort.
Okay.
That's a key thing for me. We're not, if we traveled the world and went to hotel after hotel with the same swim up bar and the same pool and the same slide, the kids would not experience what the world has to offer. When we house sit, we're instantly into a home, into a community, somewhere off the beaten path. And the people that put up for house sitting, they often travel as well. So they're very open, beautiful people. And they will share the best spots and introduce you to their friends and neighbors. And this is where you go and get your food, and this is where you go and do that. And they teach you all that. So you get immersed in the culture and the country rather than paying lots and lots of money to go and stay in a beautiful hotel that looks
Hmm.
that could be anywhere on the planet.
Right.
And if you do house sitting, even if you do it as a holiday once a year, all that money you didn't spend on the resort, you can spend on the experiences.
Absolutely.
Just a couple of months ago, we did Egypt. So we got to go ride camels by the pyramids and quad
Oh,
bike in the desert and go up the River Nile, all these incredible things, because there's not that outlay for the first 3 grand just being the hotel.
hmm. Hmm.
And it can be flexible return time. Don't fly in term time. We can get return flights UK to Spain for like £14 return.
Wow. Wow. And then, so I guess two questions that would come out of that as I'm thinking about them. One would be if someone wants to look into doing more house sitting when they're traveling, even if they are traveling for work, rather than paying for a hotel, what are some resources they can look into? Would be my first question. And then my second question is, have you had, are you concerned ever with when you're house sitting language barriers, or do you figure that out as you go?
Okay, so firstly, there are so many house sitting sites now
Okay.
and Facebook groups and Facebook pages. You put in house sitting, so much stuff will come up, no matter where you are
Mhm.
in the world. There's so many everywhere. And as far as language barriers, so before we land in any country, we at least have with the children, hello, goodbye, please, thank you, and sorry. So we have all the basic manners covered.
Yep.
And we try our hardest. We don't go there and just speak loud and hope it works. We
Hmm.
really try with the language, and we're very good at laughing at ourselves. So if we get it really wrong and they look so confused and we know we've got it wrong, we'll just kind of laugh and giggle and try and say what we're saying, and then they'll correct us and they'll
Right.
teach us.
Yeah.
And if you've got children, you go and get your kid to kick a ball towards another kid, they will pick up the language so fast because they're doing it through play.
Right.
And they will totally kick your butt when it comes to learning a language.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Um, okay, well, I mean, that was a lot of the questions I had. I'd like to point everyone listening to your sites as well. So on Facebook and Instagram, you're Family Forever, Family Free. Is that right?
Forever family,
Forever
forever.
Family, Forever Free. And you also have the website foreverfamilyforeverfree.com as well, where they can reach out to you, get copies of your books, your children's books. Is there anything else that you want to share with our audience in terms of what it's like traveling, living permanently without a home, I guess, or any other advice that you'd like to give?
To be brave, to take the risk. No one ever regrets the things they do. When we first left, everyone was like, "It's gonna go wrong. You're gonna end up back here," and we were like, "Yeah, but we're gonna try. We're gonna risk it. The worst that can happen is we have a little adventure and then we come home."
It's amazing.
It's soon to be our 8th year, and the kids have traveled the world, sat on so many planes, seen experience. They've dived with sharks. They've done quad bikes in the desert. They've done so many incredible experiences I couldn't have even dreamed of as a child. And we've been able to gift them that because we were brave enough to try.
That's amazing. What a great message. So be brave and burn the boats.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Laura. I really appreciate it. Best of luck with everything in the future, and I hope we stay in touch.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Take care.